Good Sunday morning to you. Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. This weather video, driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin Cities Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're all located off of Exit 7 on Interstate 89. A lot of things going on in the tropics with this wide view here. We have a tropical storm, Helene, very close to becoming a hurricane. We have Hurricane Isaac, Category 1 hurricane, and now Hurricane Florence has returned as a hurricane, was tropical storm status, and Florence is the main threat, of course, to the landfall in the Carolinas here, somewhere probably north of Charleston and probably south of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. The most likely zone, still in flux, however, most likely probably near Cape Fear, not too far from Wilmington, North Carolina. So this is the most prone area. However, landfalling hurricane, it could be a major category hurricane 3 or 4, and the flooding is going to be phenomenal across portions of Virginia, eastern portions of North Carolina. This will be the story going into late part of the week, as well as this coming weekend, which could possibly produce catastrophic flooding over an area that's already been super duper saturated this summer. So once again, we can see Helene, there's a tropical storms so far, and its forecast track is to curve out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and not really be a factor. We have Hurricane Isaac, which is now just barely a hurricane, and this is going to be taking a track toward the Lesser Antilles, could be problematical somewhere down the road. And of course we have Florence, and Florence is being currently investigated by reconnaissance. And that information, of course, applied into the computer models and makes for a tighter track. You can see where the track is expected to be, basically north of the South Carolina border of North Carolina and generally to the south of Cape Hatteras, a close call. It's this particular area that's been receiving a lot of rain from the leftovers and remnants of Gordon. You can see a lot of the high clouds streaming off to the south of us, putting Vermont high and dry. This is going to be an area of higher pressure that's putting the block on all of this. And we are going to see some moisture work in, however, and produce some gradient winds along the western slopes of the Green Mountains. Greatest utility concerns will be gradient wind gusts Monday late afternoon into the early morning hours on Tuesday. That'll be followed by some CHANCY embedded benign thunderstorm activity, although winds aloft appear to be a little bit stronger, 35 to 40 knots generally. That thunderstorm activity most likely timing out during the morning hours, meaning a little bit weaker, not using its daytime heating or for maximum. We should be basically spectators to arriving major Hurricane Florence. That'll happen late this week. We have a strong area of blocking high pressure setting up over us. That'll happen Wednesday into Friday. It should give us really good project weather as well. That's putting up the guardrail for New England. We should see cool weather with temperatures beginning to moderate back to somewhat muggy and warm conditions later this coming week and into next weekend. Tropical threats from future Isaac and Helene will be monitored, but at this time they present no threat to the U.S. East Coast. We'll probably be spectators for that, but stay tuned on that. Okay, all eyes are on the moisture that's going to be swinging in with a fairly a good potent warm frontal system, and again, it has remnant moisture of Tropical Storm X, Tropical Storm Gordon. You could see it streams into Vermont Monday afternoon. It's mostly going to be a Monday night into Tuesday morning phenomena. The other thing is we do have gradient winds. We'll get to that here in a second, but moisture is going to be accompanying that, so a lot of heavy rain shower activity, maybe a couple claps of thunder, but it doesn't look like that's going to be very widespread. The best chances would be during the morning hours on Tuesday. After that, high pressure begins to build in. You can see 1025 hectopascals, 1023 northeast of the Great Lakes. This is going to be a reinforcing area of higher pressure, which by the ensembles of the European and the GFS put the block on Florence. And this is the European model again showing the track somewhere potentially around Wilmington, North Carolina. The main issue is going to be, of course, the landfalling hurricane storm surge. All to the south of us, we're going to be spectators for this. Now watch what happens to the remnants of Florence. Again, this is the European model. This is just some model guidance here, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do exactly what you're seeing here, but it kind of does a loop-de-loop. with some of the heaviest rainfall making it into parts of Virginia, raining out on the Appalachians, the Blue Ridge. It's going to be very problematic. You can see it right there. And again, we're into day 7 now. We're talking into Sunday, and I'm just going to carry this out. You can see that this is going to be very problematic for the Middle Atlantic states, areas around Washington, D.C., Virginia, into North Carolina. They could see excessive rainfall. Okay, we're looking at wind gusts now. This is, again, the European model. And keep an eye on the southern greens and the central green mountains where I think most of the heavier winds will be. We start to get into those redder colors, and this is some stronger winds along the spine of the greens, some downsloping winds, some component there. And this is valid about 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. That pretty much finishes up, pushes on out, and we're looking at the gradient wind probably strongest during the early morning hours on Tuesday morning or into Monday night, late Monday night. This is the 3-hour QPF, and again, this is centered on Monday afternoon, Monday night into Tuesday morning, and you can see this is the GFS ensemble. And for total amount of precip, you're looking at generally around 1 inch amounts, but it can range as high as some of the plumes 1.4 inches to as little as maybe 6/10 of an inch. Weather Prediction Center's 7-day total QPF or total rainfall. Now this is quite amazing. These are 10-inch amounts you can see across parts of Virginia, and greater than 6 inches or greater than 8 inches in some of these blue stripes in parts of North Carolina. This is going to be very problematic. They have antecedent conditions that are already extremely wet there. They've had a very wet summer, and this is going to land on top of that. I think there's going to be catastrophic flooding, river flooding, and a lot of evacuations. Now, of course, for us, we're not going to see any of that. We're going to be sitting high and dry under a blocking ridge of higher pressure. This is the temperature forecast, the GFS ensemble once again. So this is in the rain cooled air on Monday. You can see after we get into basically Tuesday and Wednesday, those temperatures make a rise. And we're looking at temperatures, and again, this is centered on Montpelier, so even warmer in Burlington. Temperatures are going to get above 80 degrees by the time we hit Wednesday into Thursday, Friday. And there might even be some heat indices as we get into basically Friday and the weekend beyond. Weighted temperature forecast, you can see 3 to 6 degrees above, and that's going to only increase as we get into now 6 to 12 degrees, going above normal yet again. This is 3 to 7 days out. For the tropics, of course, this is centered on Florence, and again, it looks like a pretty devastating hit for either northern coastal areas of South Carolina or the southern parts of North Carolina, generally to the south and west, either of Cape Lookout or Cape Hatteras. National Hurricane Center has been working hard on this, and these are the earliest times that we could see the arrival of tropical storm force winds. Again, no issues for New England. Once again, the latest on Helene. This is a tropical storm. We have a tropical storm Isaac. I think it just became a hurricane. And then we have Florence, which is either a tropical storm or now a hurricane, Category 1. And it's powered up, projected to power up to a Category 3-4. And once again, this is the European model. Keep an eye on the wind fields. This is the projection of the European model coming ashore. That's pretty significant stuff right there. And you can see those winds are going to be extremely strong. These are wind gusts. And then what ends up happening is we have these winds begin to settle out a little bit as the storm begins to weaken. It just becomes a big flood. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.